Today I am going to explain about topic of angiosperms. So the meaning of word angiosperms is angio. Angio is nothing but of enclosed or angion means vessel or sperma means seed. So in which plants seeds are enveloped by fruit wall. So it means pericarp. This type of plants is known as a angiospermic plants. So generally in gymnosperms before fertilization, ovules are a naked condition. That means not enveloped by any ovary wall. That means ovary is absent in gymnosperms. So before fertilization, in gymnosperms, ovules are naked condition. In both gymnosperms and angiosperms, after fertilization, results of the fertilization, ovules so ovules are changed into seeds. Ovules are changed into seeds. But in gymnosperms, the seeds also naked condition. That means not enveloped by fruit wall. That means pericarp fruit is absent. So in gymnosperms before fertilization, ovary is absent. After fertilization, fruit is absent. In angiospermic plants, after fertilization, this ovary changed into fruit. That means seeds are protected by fruit wall, pericarp. Seeds are present within a fruit. That means enveloped by, protected by fruit wall. So seeds are enclosed by the fruit wall. That means a pericarp. This type of plants is known as a angiospermic plants. At the same time, in angiospermic plants, so two flowers and ovary is present. Then ovary changed into fruit. So results of fertilization. Angio is nothing but vessels. So vascular tissues evolved originated in pteridophytic plants. That means conductive tissues, xylem and phloem developed evolved from the pteridophytic plants, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. But in pteridophytes and gymnosperms, in xylem vessels are absent. In phloem companion cells are absent. In gymnosperms, in xylem vessels are absent. In phloem, sieve tubes and companion cells are absent. Instead of sieve tubes, sieve cells are present. Instead of companion cells, albuminous cells are present. But in angiospermic plants, in xylem vessels are present. That's why this is known as a vessel containing vessel evolved plants. That means angiospermic plants. These angiospermic plants first appeared in Mesozoic era. So angiospermic plants first appeared in Mesozoic era. Angiospermic plants are classified into two classes. So these are dicots and monocots, dicotyledone and monocotyledone. So dicot plants first appeared in Jurassic period. Then monocot plants first appeared Cretaceous period. So dicot plants first appeared in Jurassic period. Then monocot plants first appeared in Cretaceous period. Then Cenozoic era. Cenozoic era is known as a age of angiosperms. is the angiosperms. So angiospermic plants first appeared in Mesozoic era, in dicots Jurassic period and monocots Cretaceous period. So Cenozoic era is known as a age of angiospermic plants. Angiospermic plants are highly evolved plants. So angiospermic plants are appeared or found all habitats of the land. So these angiospermic plants found at the oceans, then plain lands, then deserts, then even hot springs nearly at 60 degree centigrade, then extreme cold condition. Extreme cold. Angiospermic plants are found at every habitats of the land. So these are habitats of ocean habitats, plains, deserts, hot springs and extreme cold. But in sea condition, very limited number of species are present. Even in hot springs also limited number of species are present. So highly in plain areas of the lands, more number of angiospermic species are present. Angiospermic plants even present at altitude more than 6,000 meters. Altitude more than 6,000 meters also. These angiospermic plants appeared found at 130 million years ago. 130 millions years ago, before the human evolution. Angiospermic plants first appeared before 130 millions years. That means before the evolution of human beings. There, angiospermic plants of all types of body organization of plants are present. So these are herbs, there, shrubs and trees. So all types of plants are present in angiospermic plants, herb, shrub and trees. So generally in gymnosperms, shrubs, medium trees and trees are present. But in angiosperms, herbs also present. So herb. So herb is nothing but of small plants, not wood containing plants, not woody plants. So these plants generally growing below 2 meters. These plants is known as herbs. Then shrubs. These may be woody plants, but more number of the branches arise from the base of the stem. So 5 to 6 meters more than this. This is known as shrubs. Then trees are the woody plants. So wood is present a trunk-like condition. This is known as a trees. There in angiosperms, plants are annual plants, then biennial plants, then perennial plants. So all life cycles of plants are present, annual, biennial and perennial plants. But in gymnosperms, majority of the plants are perennial plants. But in angiosperms, all life cycles of plants are present, annuals, biennials and perennial plants. Annual plants. So which plants completes its life cycle within 1 year or 1 season? These plants is known as annual plants. Then biennial plants, in which plants life cycle completed within 2 years or 2 seasons. These plants is known as biennial plants. Then perennial plants. So life cycle is more than 2 years. So these plants is known as perennial plants. In gymnosperms, majority of the plants are woody condition and perennial plants. In angiosperms, all types of life cycles of plants are present. Then angiospermic plant body is a sporophytic plant body. Sporophytic plant body. So diploid condition from pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Plant body is a sporophytic condition. It is a dominated. Gametophytic body is a depends on sporophytic plant body. Then angiospermic plant body differentiated into true root, then stem and leaves. In bryophytic plants, plant body is a thalloid or leafy condition, not differentiated into true root, stem and leaf. But in pteridophytic plants, why? Because pteridophytes evolved with the vascular tissue. That's why plant body differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. Then pteridophytic plants evolved to gymnospermic plants. True root, stem and leaves. Angiospermic plants are highly evolved plants. So plant body differentiated into root, stem and leaves. So root generally taproot system and adventitious fibrous root system is present. So taproot system, then fibrous root system. In gymnospermic plants mainly taproot system is present. In angiospermic plants, both the taproot system and fibrous root system. There, some plant roots associated with fungus, fungal members. This known as a mycorrhiza. This mycorrhizal symbiotic association is useful for absorption of water and mineral nutrients. Then leaves generally arise at nodes. Leaves generally arise at nodes. Next one, in angiospermic plants, vascular bundles, conductive tissues are well evolved condition. That means xylem and phloem. So xylem and phloem well evolved condition. In gymnosperms, in pteridophytes, in xylem vessels are absent, but in angiosperms, in xylem vessels are present. That's why angiospermic, angio is nothing but vessels containing plants, highly evolved xylem containing plants. So these vessels and tracheids play an important role in water conduction, even in longer distance, long height of the plants. There, in gymnosperms and pteridophytes, in phloem, sieve tubes and companion cells are absent. But in gymnosperms, in the place of sieve tubes, sieve cells, in the place of companion cells, albuminous cells are present. But in phloem, companion cells are present. That means vascular tissues are well developed, highly evolved in angiospermic plants. Next one, secondary growth. So secondary growth is present in angiospermic plants. Both gymnosperms and angiosperms, secondary growth is present. But in pteridophytic plants, secondary growth is absent. So secondary growth present in all dicota plants, then some monocota plants. Secondary growth present all dicot plants in some monocota plants. Then wood is a monozylic wood. Then polyzylic wood. Wood is a monozylic wood and polyzylic. Monozylic wood is nothing but one ring of the secondary xylem. Xylem is present. Polyzylic means more number of rings of xylems are present. In gymnosperms, monozylic, polyzylic and pycnozylic wood is present. Pycnozylic wood is nothing but parenchyma is absent. So here wood with parenchymatous condition, monozylic wood and polyzylic wood. Next one, angiospermic plants are small plants to tall plants are present. So smallest plant is known as a wolfia. Smallest plant approximately 0.1 centimeter. So smallest plant help to woody plants are present. Monozylic and polyzylic condition. Largest plant is a eucalyptus. More than 100 meters, more than 100 meters, approximately 110 meters, 114 meters. Eucalyptus is the largest height of angiospermic plant. The smallest plant is a Wolfia, approximately 0.1 centimeters. Then in gymnospermic plants, two flowers are absent. So gymnospermic plants, two flowers are absent, but in angiospermic plants, two flowers are present. So gymnospermic plants, true flowers are absent. Gymnosperms are flowering plants, but true flowers are absent. So flowers may be present in the form of cones or strobili. In gymnosperms, so flowers are present in the form of cones or strobili. Cone or strobili is a nothing but aggregation of a sporophyll. Sporophyll. So in gymnospermic plant, sporophyll aggregated to form a cones or a strobili. So these are male cone and female cone. Male cone or female cone. That means differentiation is there. So male cone is separate, then female cone is separate. Nothing but unisexual condition. Unisexual condition. In gymnosperms, sporophyll aggregated to form a cones or a strobili. So in gymnosperms, cones are mostly unisexual condition, rarely bisexual condition. But in angiospermic plants, these sporophyll aggregated to form flowers. In angiospermic plant, sporophyll aggregated to form flowers. So flowers mostly bisexual condition. Rarely unisexual condition. That means a flower both bisexual and unisexual. Mostly bisexual in a condition. Cones in gymnosperms mostly unisexual condition. In angiosperms mostly bisexual. So rarely unisexual condition. That means angiosperms are flowering plants. Angiosperms are flowering plants. Gymnosperms also flowering plants, but two flowers are absent. So flowers in gymnosperms are present in the form of cones. So true flowers are evolved, originated in angiospermic plants. That's why angiospermic plants also known as a flowering plants. That means sex organs originated as a flowers. So flowers are clearly visible, evolved and developed in angiospermic plants. So flowering plant. So flower is a nothing but modified shoot. So shoot apical meristem modified to form a flowers. So generally angiospermic plants leaves arise at a node. Branches and a stem at each node. So in modified shoot at nodes instead of leaves, flowers are present. So flower is nothing but modified leaf. Modified instead of leaves on modified shoot stem, so flowers will arise. So flower is nothing but modified leaves. Then flower. So generally flower attached at a node by one stalk. This stalk is known as a pedicel. This stalk is known as a pedicel. Stalk of the flower is known as a pedicel. Then top of the pedicel contains to form a one receptor. This receptor is known as a thalamus or a torus. So top of the tip of the pedicel, stalk of the flower condense to form a one receptor. This receptor is known as a thalamus or a torus. These thalamus also contain nodes and internodes. These internodes at thalamus are highly condensed in a condition. At each node, one modified floral leaves are present. Floral whorls are present. So 3 internodes and 4 nodes are present. At each node, that means at 4 nodes, 4 floral whorls are present. So first floral whorl is known as a calyx. Second floral whorl is known as a corolla. Third floral whorl is known as a Angiosperm. Then fourth floral whorl is known as a Gynoecium. First floral whorl calyx, second one corolla, then third one Angiosperm, fourth one is a Gynoecium. So the parts of the calyx is known as a sepals. The parts of the calyx is known as a sepals. So sepals generally green in a color, provide the protection to flower in bud condition. That means of protective nature. Then parts of the corolla is known as a petals. So these petals with a different colors. So these colorization petals will useful to attract the animals or insects for pollination purpose. So both these calyx and corolla, sepals and petals are sterile condition. Sterile condition, non-essential floral whorls. So calyx and corolla is known as a non-essential floral whorls. So both are sterile condition. Then third floral whorl is known as a Angiosperm. So parts of the Angiosperm is known as a stamen. Nothing but a male sex organ. Male sex organ. Then fourth floral whorl is known as a Gynoecium. Then parts of the Gynoecium is nothing but a carpel. Nothing but female sex organ. In angiospermic plants, male and female sex organs are specialized condition in the form of stamens and carpels. In gymnospermic plants, sepals, petals, stamens and carpels are absent. So sepals, petals, stamen and carpels are absent in gymnospermic plants. Why? Because two flowers are absent in gymnospermic plants. So male and female cones are present. In male cone, in gymnospermic plant, microsporophyll is present. Microsporophyll is present. But in angiospermic plant, microsporophyll is a specialized condition. This is known as a stamen. This is known as a stamen. In gymnospermic plant, in male cone, microsporophylls are present. In angiospermic plant, this microsporophyll is a specialized condition. This is known as a stamen. So stamens are absent in gymnospermic plant. Then stamen. So stamen is differentiated into two parts. So it is a filament, then anther. Filament and anther. So stamen is differentiated into filament and anther. Next one, in female cone, megasporophyll is present. Megasporophyll is present. So in angiospermic plant, this megasporophyll is specialized in the form of a carpel. Specialized in the form of carpel. So stamens and carpels are absent in gymnospermic plant. So carpel. So carpel is differentiated into three parts. So stigma, then style ovary. Stigma, style and ovary. Stigma is a receptive part, that means accept the pollen grains. So after pollination, pollen grains reach to stigma. Then style is a connective part, tube like a structure. So connective part of the stigma and ovary. So pollen tube travels after germination through the style, then reach to ovary. The base bulged swollen condition part is known as a ovary. So within ovary, parenchymatous cushion like structure is present. This is known as a placenta. So placentae plural. So ovules are attached to this placenta. Generally in gymnospermic plants, ovules are raised on placenta. In angiospermic plants, ovules are attached to placenta. So ovary. In gymnospermic plants, ovary is absent. In angiospermic plants, ovary is present. Fruit and ovary absent in gymnospermic plant. In angiospermic plant, fruit and ovary is present. So ovules are present within this ovary. That means ovules are enclosed, covered by ovary wall in angiospermic plant. Due to absence of ovary in gymnosperms, ovules are naked condition. Generally in gymnospermic plant, megasporangia is nothing but ovules. These megasporangias are present on a megasporophyll, loosely located on a megasporophyll in a base condition, naked condition, exposed condition, not enveloped by any ovary wall in gymnospermic plants. Stamen. So stamen in angiospermic plants are differentiated into filament and anther. So stamen, filament and anther. So within anther, microsporangia is present. Microsporangia, nothing but pollen sacs are present. So within anther, microsporangia, pollen sacs are present. Generally in angiospermic plants, 4 pollen sacs are present. Rarely 2 pollen sacs are present in Malvaceae members. This is known as a tetrasporangiata condition. So 4 microsporangias are present in angiospermic plant. Rarely 2 microsporangia, 2 pollen sacs are present. But in gymnospermic plants, 2 microsporangias are present in pinus. Then in cycas, more number of numerous microsporangias are present. In gymnospermic plant, in pinus, only 2 microsporangia is present. In cycas, on microsporophyll, numerous microsporangias are present. Then within this microsporangia, microspore mother cell. So it is a diploid condition. Microspore mother cell diploid in a condition. Then this microspore mother cell undergoes to meiotic division. That means reduction division. By this reductional division, here produce the 4 microspores. 4 microspores. These microspores are first cell for male gametophytes. Microspores is nothing but pollen grains. So these are haploid condition. These are haploid. In gymnosperms also, microspores are first cell for male gametophyte. Then in angiospermic plants, in gymnospermic plants, 4 microspores are fertile condition. That means a functional condition. Each microspore develop into 1 pollen grain. 1 pollen grain, nothing but 1 male gametophyte. So pollen grain. So pollen grain is a haploid condition. Then pollen grain undergoes to mitotic division. Results of first mitotic division in angiospermic plants produce the 2 cells. So these are tube cell, then generative cell. Tube cell and a generate. Tube cell is a large cell, generative cell is a small cell. First mitotic division is a unequal mitotic division. Then in gymnospermic plants, 3-celled condition. So 2 or 3 prothalial cells are present, then 1 tube cell, then 1 generative cell is present in cycles, but in pinus 4-cell condition is present: prothalial cell, tube cell, vegetative cell and generative cell. Both in angiosperms and gymnosperms, pollen grains shed, release, discharge from the microsporangia, 2-celled condition, 3-celled condition. Generally in gymnosperms 3-celled condition, in angiosperms 2-celled condition, then 3-celled condition. In 60% of angiospermic plants, pollen grain shed 2-celled condition. 60% of angiosperms tube cell and generative cell. In remaining 40% of angiospermic plant, the generative cell undergoes to second mitotic division, then form the 2 male gametes. 2 male gametes, 3-celled condition. In 40% of angiosperms, pollen grains shed from microsporangia, 3-celled condition, tube cell, then 2 male gametes. In 60% of angiosperms shed in 2-celled condition, tube cell and generative cell. But in gymnosperms, except pinus, 3-celled condition. Pollination takes place, pollen grain by 3-celled condition: prothalial cell, tube cell and generative cell. Prothalial cell absent in angiospermic plants. Prothalial cell absent in angiospermic plant. Then pollination takes place. Pollination is nothing but pollen grains transfer from anther to stigma. This is known as a pollination. In gymnosperms, pollination is a direct pollination. In gymnosperms, pollination is a direct pollination. That means wind pollination, anemophily. Wind pollination, anemophilous. So pollen grains directly reach to mouth of the ovule. Why? Because in gymnosperms ovules are naked condition. That's why directly reach to mouth of the ovule, then germinate on mouth of ovule, pollen chamber. But in angiospermic plants, pollination is a indirect pollination. Pollination is a indirect. That means pollen grains not directly reach to female sex organ. That means carpel or ovule or ovary. Indirect pollination. So in angiospermic plants, pollination by the different pollinating agencies. That means wind pollination, then water pollination, then by the animals, especially insects. Anemophilous, hydrophily, then zoophily. In zoophily mostly by the insects. Entomophilous pollination. By this pollination, pollen grains reach to stigma. Pollen grains reach to stigma. But in gymnospermic plants, pollen grains directly reach to mouth of the ovule. That means at a micropyle. Direct pollination, anemophilous. But in gymnospermic plants, water pollination, then animal pollination is absent. In angiospermic plants, pollen grains reach to stigma. Stigma is a receptive part. Stigma have the capability to identify the correct suitable pollen grains of the same species. Then rejection of pollen grains of other species. That's why stigma has the capability to receptive of the pollen grains by the pollination. When pollen grains reach to this stigma, then tube tube cell germinate to form a pollen tube. Germinate to form a pollen tube. In gymnosperms also pollen grains when reached to pollen chamber. Tube cell germinate to form a pollen tube. Then these are tube cell and generative cell then are transferred into pollen tube, especially generative cell in both gymnosperms and angiosperms then transfer move into this pollen tube. Then generative cell undergoes to second mitotic division. In angiosperms produce the two male gametes. In gymnosperms also will produce a generative cell, one stalk cell, then two sperm mother cell. Then two sperm mother cell develops into two male gametes in gymnosperms. In angiosperms, generative cell directly produce the two male gametes. Remember this one. In angiosperms, two male gametes are functional condition. Two male gametes are functional in a condition, but in gymnosperms only one male gamete is a functional condition, second male gamete is a non-functional in a condition. So pollen tube will carry the male gametes. So pollen tube travels through the tissue of the style, then reach to ovary. So pollen tube travels to reach the ovary by the help of obturators. In angiospermic plants, obturators. When this pollen tube reaches to ovary, then enters inner side of the ovary. Then in angiospermic plants, megasporophyle. So megasporophyle is specialized as a carpel. So carpel differentiated into stigma, style and ovary. So within ovary, number of ovules are present. Number of ovules in both the gymnosperms and angiosperms, ovules are present. But in gymnosperms, within ovule, nucellus, one of the cell of nucellus differentiated into megaspore mother cell. Then megaspore mother cell undergoes to meiotic division. Megaspore mother cell 2n condition undergoes to meiotic division. Both gymnosperms and angiosperms nucellus differentiated into megaspore mother cell. This megaspore mother cell diploid condition undergoes to meiotic division, produce the four megaspores. In these four megaspores, in both gymnosperms and angiosperms, 3 is a non-functional condition. Only 1 is a functional in a condition. So 1 megaspore is a functional in a condition. Both gymnosperms and angiosperms. Then functional megaspore undergoes to mitotic divisions. In gymnosperms, this functional megaspore directly develops into female gametophyte. In gymnosperms, functional megaspore directly develops into female gametophyte. This female gametophyte contains the archegonia. In gymnosperms, one functional megaspore directly develops into female gametophyte with the reduced number of the cells, with a limited number of cells. Within female gametophyte, archegonia is present in gymnosperms, not in angiosperms. So in angiosperms, archegonia is absent. So angiosperms are non-archegoniate embryophytic plants. Gymnosperms are archegoniate embryophytic plants. In angiosperms, one functional megaspore undergoes to mitotic divisions. That means three generations of mitotic divisions, then develops into embryo sac. Develops into embryo sac. So embryo sac condition is absent in gymnospermic plants. In angiospermic plant, one functional megaspore undergoes to mitotic division, then develops into embryo sac. So embryo sac present within ovule. In embryo sac, all structures are haploid condition. In embryo sac, at the chalazal end, and antipodals are present. Three antipodals are present. Then in center, secondary nucleus, two polar nuclei. From the chalazal end, one nuclei, from the micropolar and one nuclei move into center, from the polar nuclei. So polar nucleus are in center, contains the two nuclei, haploid condition. Before fertilization, these polar nuclei fuse to form the secondary nucleus. So secondary nucleus is a diploid condition. All structures in embryo sac are haploid condition, but before fertilization, two polar nuclei in center of the embryo sac fuse to form the secondary nucleus. So secondary nucleus is a diploid in a condition. Then egg apparatus present at a microphylla, and these egg apparatus contain two synergids, one egg cell. Two synergids, one egg cell. In synergids, a finger-like projections are present. This is called filiform apparatus. So synergids along with the filiform apparatus help to enter the pollen tube into embryo sac. Pollen tube into embryo sac. In synergids, vacuole towards the chalazal and nucleus towards the microphylla, and in synergids, vacuole towards the chalazal and then nucleus towards the microphylla, and then one egg cell is present. In egg cell, nucleus towards the chalazal and then vacuole towards the microphylla, and in embryo sac, largest cell is a central cell. In gymnosperms, one functional megaspore directly develops into female gametophyte. This female gametophyte contains the archegonia. Within archegonia, one egg cell is present. In gymnosperms, in angiosperms, one functional megaspore by the mitotic divisions develops into differentiated into embryo sac. Embryo sac condition is absent in gymnosperms. Archegonia is present. Within archegonia, egg cell is present, but in angiosperms, within embryo sac, one egg cell is present. So in angiosperms, embryo sac is a 8 nucleated 7 cell condition. 8 nucleated 7. In angiosperms, embryo sac is a 8 nucleated 7 cell condition. In gymnosperms, female gametophyte is a large parenchymatous condition. Archegonia is present in gymnosperms. Archegonia is absent in angiospermic plants. Then pollen tube reach to embryo sac by the help of disintegration of one synergy cell. Help of the filiform operators, pollen tube enters into embryo sac. When pollen tube enters into embryo sac, burst tip of the pollen tube then release two male gametes. Release the two male gametes into embryo sac. Release the two male gametes into embryo sac. In angiospermic plants, two male gametes are functional in condition. In gymnosperms, only one male gamete is a functional condition. Then first male gamete fuse with the egg cell. First male gamete fuse with the egg cell. So this is known as a syngamy. Generative fertilization. Syngamy or generative fertilization. So male gamete. So first male gamete, then egg cell fuse to form a zygote. So this fertilization is known as a generative fertilization or syngamy. Generative fertilization or syngamy. So in syngamy generative fertilization, two nuclei participation takes place. One nuclei from male gamete, second nuclei from egg cell. So two nuclei. Generative fertilization, syngamy. In gymnosperms also, functional male gamete fuse with the egg cell form the diploid zygote. But in angiospermic plants, two male gametes are functional condition. So second male gamete fuse with the secondary nucleus. So first male gamete, then second male gamete fuse with the secondary nucleus. So form the primary endosperma nucleus. So it is a triploid condition, 3n condition. Why? Because it is a result of fusion of three haploid nuclei. So two haploid nuclei in secondary nucleus, one haploid nuclei in a functional second male gamete. So by the participation of three nuclei. So this second fertilization is known as a vegetative fertilization. So vegetative fertilization. So this is known as a vegetative fertilization or a triple fusion. Why it is known as a triple fusion? Why? Because it is a result of fusion of three haploid nuclei. Triple fusion. Results of triple fusion from the primary endosperma nucleus. Endosperm. It is a triploid condition. This endosperm will provide nourishment for development of zygote into embryo. So in angiospermic plant, endosperm is a post-fertilization structure. In angiospermic plant, endosperm is a post-fertilization structure. It is a triploid in condition. It will provide a nourishment for development of zygote into embryo. But in gymnospermic plant, female gametophyte haploid condition directly before fertilization develops into endosperm. So in gymnosperms, endosperm is a free fertilization structure. In gymnosperms, endosperm is a free fertilization structure. It is a haploid condition. In gymnosperms, endosperm is a free fertilization structure, haploid condition. In angiosperms, endosperm is a post-fertilization structure, triploid in a condition. So these are two types of fertilizations or takes place in angiosperms. This is known as a double fertilization. By the participation of 5 nuclei. In generative fertilization 2 nuclei, then in vegetative fertilization 3 nuclei. So total by the participation of 5 nuclei. In gymnosperms only one fertilization, singamy generative fertilization takes place by the participation of 2 nuclei, then form the zygote. Double fertilization is a characteristic feature of angiospermic plant. Double fertilization is absent in gymnospermic plants. Why? Because in gymnospermic plant only one male gamete is a functional condition. At the same time embryo sac is absent. That means a secondary nucleus condition also absent. That's why only one fertilization takes place, zygote formed by the presence of singamy. That female gametophyte directly develops into endosperm in gymnosperms. But in gymnosperms, in ephedra, double fertilization maybe takes place. In angiospermic plants, after fertilization, then sepals, petals, then synergids, antipodals are wither off. That means destroyed. Then ovule. So ovule directly develops into seed. In gymnosperms also ovule develops into seed. Then ovary develops into fruit. Then zygote develops into embryo. Zygote develops. In gymnosperms, ovules develops into seed, but ovary is absent. So there is no structure of a fruit. So seeds are naked condition, not protected by any fruit wall. In angiospermic plant, ovary is present, so ovary develops into fruit. So seeds are protected by the fruit wall. Fruit in angiospermic plant. Not only fruit provide the protection to seeds, it will be useful for dispersal of the seeds. That's why angiospermic plants present all habitats of the land. So this dispersal system will be useful for evolving originated of angiospermic plant, all habitats of the land. Then in both gymnosperms and angiosperms, zygote develops into embryo. So embryo present within seeds. Generally, in gymnospermic plant, polyembryony is a common in a condition. In angiospermic plants also, polyembryony is present. Then in embryonic leaves are present. This is known as a cotyledons. Embryonic leaves are known as a cotyledons. So ovule in both angiosperms and gymnosperms covered by the ovular layers, that means integments. In gymnosperms, integument by 3 massive layered condition, not 3 integuments. In gymnosperms, mostly unitegmic condition, only one integument is present. This integument massively by the 3 layers condition. But in angiosperms, 2 or 1 integument is present. These integuments will develop into seed coat. In both gymnosperms and angiosperms, seed coat is present. But in gymnosperms, seeds are not protected by the fruit wall. In angiosperms, seeds are protected by the fruit wall. That means pericarp condition. Then in embryonal leaves are present. That means cotyledons are present. So generally in angiosperms, 1 cotyledon or 2 cotyledons are present. In dicots, 2 cotyledons are present. In monocot, only 1 cotyledon is present. But in gymnospermic plant, in cycas, 2 cotyledons are present. But in pinus, 2 to 16 cotyledons are more number of cotyledons are present. In pinus, 2 to 16 cotyledons are more number of cotyledons are present. In both gymnosperms and angiosperms, sexual reproduction is a oogamous type of sexual reproduction. It is known as a siphonogamy. It is known as a Siphonogamous oogamy. Siphonogamous oogamy. This oogamy is known as a siphonogamous oogamy. In both gymnosperms and angiosperms, reproduction is a siphonogamous oogamy. Siphonogamous oogamy means after the pollination, by the germination of pollen grain, produce the pollen tube, then pollen tube carry the male gametes, then reach to embryo sac, then fertilization takes place. This type of sexual reproduction is known as a siphonogamous oogamy. Then in gymnosperms, cycas plant will shows the both juidogamous oogamy, siphonogamous oogamy. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, the movement of the sperms facilitated by thin film of water. This is known as a juidogamous oogamy. In gymnospermic plants, wind pollination, anemophily is present. So siphonogamous oogamy, then formation by the pollen tube, etc. Cycas shows the both juidogamous oogamy, then siphonogamous oogamy. Why? Because in cycas, male gametes are multiflagellated condition, multiciliated condition. That means motile in a condition. That's why so juidogamous oogamy also takes place. But in angiospermic plant, two male gametes are non-motile condition. In angiospermic plants, male gametes are non-motile condition. Male gametes are non-motile condition. That's why these reach to egg and secondary nucleus by the formation of a pollen tube. In cycas, only in gymnosperms motile condition. In rest of the species may be non-motile condition. So cycas shows the both the juidogamous oogamy, siphonogamous oogamy. All angiospermic plants shows the siphonogamous oogamous condition. So in angiosperms, two male gametes are non-motile condition, highly reduced condition with a limited number of cells are present. So in gymnosperms, sepals, petals, andrecium, stamens, carpels are absent. So these all are evolved in angiospermic plants. That's why angiosperms are highly evolved, distributed plants. Then angiospermic and gymnospermic plants shows the heteromorphic alternations of generation, heterologous alternations of generation, both the sporophytic generation, then gametophytic generation alternate to each other, but both are morphologically distinct in a condition. In gymnosperms, angiosperms and pteridophyte, sporophyte is a dominated condition. Angiospermic plant shows the diploretic life cycle. Angiospermic plant shows the both the angiospermic and gymnospermic plant shows the diploretic life cycle. So then life cycle of angiospermic plant. So plant is a sporophyte. Plant is a sporophyte. 2n condition. Angiospermic plant. So in angiospermic plant, so flowers are present. Flowers. So flower is a bisexual condition. So male sex organ or female sex organs are present. So male sex organ is known as a andrecium. Then gynoecium, andrecium or gynoecium, microsporophyll, then megasporophyll. The parts of the andrecium is known as a stamen, here cortex, stamen and carpel. So in stamen, filament and anther is present. So anther. So within anther, microsporangia. Microsporangia is present. Then carpel. So ovary is present. Within ovary, so ovules are present. Nothing but megasporangia and ovule. Megasporangia or ovule. Then in microsporangia, so microspora, mother cells are present. Then in ovule, Megaspore, mother cell. So all are diploid condition. Diploid. Then this Megaspore mother cell and Microspora mother cell undergoes to meiotic division, reductional division. By the reductional division, these form the microspores. Microspores, then megaspores. Microspores and megaspores. So microspores and megaspores are haploid condition. Then microspore pollen grain. Then embryo sac. Embryo sac. So megaspore, functional megaspore develops into embryo sac. Then microspore develops into pollen grain. Then pollen grain, in pollen grain, tube cell, vegetative cell. Then generative cell. Generative cell undergoes to mitotic division. Then form the two male gametes. Two male gametes. Then in embryo sac, 7-celled 8 nucleated condition, only 1 egg cell, 2 synergids, 3 antipodals are present. So 1 egg cell is present. Haploid condition. Then 1 male gamete. Along with the egg cell here, secondary nucleus is present. Secondary nucleus. So one male gamete fused with the egg cell, another male gamete fused with the secondary nucleus. So here form the primary endosperm nucleus, then zygote. Primary endosperm nucleus and a zygote. So two types of fertilization: generative fertilization, then vegetative fertilization. Triple fusion. So primary endosperm nucleus is a triploid condition. It is a haploid condition. So primary endosperm nucleus provide the nourishment to development of the zygote into embryo. Zygote into embryo. So embryo is present in seeds. Embryo is present in seeds. Nothing but ovules. Embryo sac present within ovule. Entire ovule develop into seed. So within seed, embryo is present. Then by the germination of a seed, again arise the sporophytic angiospermic plant. Again plant will produce the flowers. Same heteromorphic alternations of generations, both haploid generation and diploid generation. So haploid generation. So diploid 2n condition, then haploid n condition. Haploid generation only in a gamete condition, then remaining entirely diploid sporophyte. So sporophyte is a dominant on a haploid condition. This type of life cycle is known as a diplonetic life cycle. Thank you.